Let's play a game. Which one is the bestseller? Is it A or B? Really? Which one of these? Let me know in the comments. Which one is the bestseller? A or B? What if I told you that they're both bestsellers? This one is bestseller or the number one bestseller in activity books. This one is the number one bestseller in children's Buddhist fiction. Now, whether or not you agree with those categories is not really the topic or the subject of this video, but take a look at this. Amazon bestsellers. We are judging a book by its cover. That's why we looked, or that's why we did the contest at the beginning. That's why we had a little bit of fun to determine, or to see if we could determine the bestseller from those books. But Amazon lists the bestsellers, and yes, the idea here is to look at the bestsellers and think by looking at the cover which one is going to sell. We're not trying to get or win any art contest. We're not trying to be or think which one do I think is prettier. We're trying to think which one is the best cover for this category, a book that we're trying to sell on Amazon. Here's another list of Amazon bestsellers. Bestsellers in children's cartooning books. Again, the idea here is what is working in this category. Judging a book by its cover is the ability to look at the cover and say, is this going to sell based upon the cover that I put together or the cover that I've outsourced? Is there an exact science to this? Well, just go to Amazon and take a look at the bestsellers across all of the books and try to come up with one common factor if you can here. And then let me know in the comments, what is the common factor that you think amongst these covers that makes these the best sellers out of all the books that are selling right now on Amazon? I would say that it starts with the obsession around colors, colors that go together. The obsession, 10 color combos that always work. Navy and orange, blush and burgundy, green and yellow, blue and pink, red and fuchsia, teal, green and blue, yellow and gray, camel and black. And there's also a cool site called Coolers, and you can check this out. There's a link in the description. And here you can actually run what's called a color palette generator. Once you start the generator, you can come inside here and you can lock one of the colors that you like. For example, if you were to lock this color, then you can simply hit the space bar and it will generate colors that go together with that color, or generate a color palette or colors for you to use when you are trying to create the cover of your book. Because at the end of the day, you may think colors go together, but really you need an expert opinion, and that's what this site is. It's giving you colors that work together. Next up, in my opinion, fonts need to go together. Here is a great article over at smashingmagazine.com. What font should I use? 5 principles for choosing and using typefaces or fonts. And I think they nailed it here for many beginners, and me included. The task of picking fonts is a mystifying process. There seems to be endless choices. So they walk you through some good ideas here of how to put fonts together, starting with dressing for the occasion. This simply means think about the category of the book or who you're trying to attract, who you want this cover to appeal to, and then dress your cover up or dress your book up with the right cover, with the right choices of colors and fonts, and put those together to dress your book up or create a cover that is dressed appropriately for the category you're trying to sell your book in. Number 2 is knowing your families, grouping your fonts together. Again, this goes back into the analogy they're using here of putting like things together when you're dressing up. For example, don't wear shorts and dress shoes, or certain colors. Again, back to that idea of colors, just don't match when you are getting dressed. This is a good one too. Don't be a wimp. The principle of decisive contrast. You need to understand that you can mix and match, and don't be afraid to mix and match or try to mix and match things that may not go together, but you never know until you try. Number 4 is a little can go a long way. Enough with all these conventional looking fonts and rules. Think about how you can overdo it or not overdo it when you are putting together your fonts and your colors. But in this specific example, we're talking about fonts, and you can see here how they put 2 fonts together in the title of this menu, House of Thai. You can see House and Thai are one font, and then of is different, but then they went overboard and they tried to do that throughout the entire menu. And you can see that it just doesn't work when you try to use it across the entire page. Think about this when you're designing your cover. And then here, look at the one where they decided to change up the fonts and use a different font other than the font that they combined for the title. Rule number 5 is there are no rules. As they showed in this example, they were using a menu, and it says here, if you look hard enough, you will find a dazzling looking menu set entirely in a hard to read display font, or two of different types of fonts living happily together on a page or a cover. There are only conventions, no ironclad rules. So one of my favorite things to do is go to Creative Fabrica and just look at the fonts. Look at the fonts that are available and think, well, if I was to pick these fonts, what fonts do I think would work for the book, the category of the book, the person that I'm selling the book to? Try out one of these fonts and maybe pick a secondary font and then go with those two and then mix and match to include the colors based upon the research that you do over at Amazon. And the same kind of thing that we're doing here, asking ourselves this question: which one of these is the best seller? Is it A? Is it B? And why at the end of the day are A and B, both of these covers, best sellers in their specific categories? And looking at Amazon bestsellers and just understanding what sells in that category and why that cover is selling in that category to that specific group of people that are looking to buy a book in that category. And then understand there is no rule. There are no rules, and you're not trying to win an art contest. You're trying to sell books. So with that, go ahead, let me know in the comments how you go about putting a book cover together for a specific type of book that you're creating. And do you have a go-to font or group of fonts and colors that you rely heavily on because you know they work, dependent on the category or not depending on the category? Again, this is not a question of trying to win an art contest or trying to be the most beautiful design in the world. This is the concept of creating a book cover that sells on Amazon and understanding and just coming to the realization that yes, your book will be judged by its cover. And it all starts with the cover because people see the cover and they click on the cover because they want to see what's inside if the cover is appealing to them. And with that, keep doing your research, keep creating books, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.